Civil servants are threatening ministers with legal action over the Rwanda bill. We're going to read into this exclusive from The Guardian, you guys. Let's go. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is Reganelite here with an exclusive from The Guardian with the headline that civil servants are threatening the ministers with legal action over the Rwanda bill. The exclusive reveals that the union says Home Office staff could be in breach of international law if they implement the deportations. Guys, while you're here, make sure you hit the like button and share this across social media so others are notified of this video. So this is basically the Home Office staff basically saying, whoa! Like we're not taking part in this bill if it passes. We're not taking part in any of this because we don't want to be in breach of international law. We don't want to find ourselves in trouble here. You know, this is exactly the and I'm glad the civil servants are making these threats to ministers about the Rwanda bill because, well, I mean, obviously we still see it as a dead duck. The chance of it actually happening is very, very unlikely. But there is still also the possibility of them basically pushing any laws aside just to get these flights going as well. And that also puts civil servants at huge risk, and they're absolutely so, because the staff themselves could be in breach of international law, and not just the MPs and the ministers who implement it as well. So there's lots of ramifications here. So it makes total perfect sense for them to be basically saying, hang on a minute, you know, I don't want to be like these guys. At the end of the day, the civil servants are doing their jobs, but they can't put their they can't implement something that is going to put themselves in trouble at the same time. So I'm glad they're kind of taking some kind of legal action here to cover their backside, because they need to. It's not a case, and I want to make this very clear, guys, it's not a case of the civil servants saying that they are against this bill. Whether they are against, for, and against, that's not what this is about. This is about the legality of the Rwanda bill. Yeah, this is about the legality of it. It's not a case of these civil servants don't like the Rwanda bill and don't want to implement the Rwanda bill. That's not what it's about. It's a very, very key point here, because this is what the ministers will try to tell you. They'll try to tell you that the civil servants are trying to stop it. No, what the civil servants are trying to do is they're trying not to get in breach of international law. They don't want to be doing something that is considered a breach of international law. That is something that could potentially be illegal. That could potentially put these civil servants in a big doo-doo. It's about the legality of it. That's what they're concerned about here. That's why they're doing this. Nothing to do with whether they're for or against the bill. Because as a civil servant, you can't be opinionated. You're there to do a job at the end of the day. But when that job is asking you to break the law, allegedly, well, that's when problems are occurring here. So it's very important that context gets put in with regards to this, guys. So civil servants have threatened ministers with legal action over concerns that the senior Home Office staff could be in breach of international law if they implement the government's Rwanda deportation bill. The FDA union, which represents senior civil servants, have warned they could also be in violation of the Civil Service Code and open to possible prosecution if they follow the minister's demand to ignore an urgent injunction from Strasbourg banning a deportation. It has sent a pre-action legal letter to James Cleverly, the Home Secretary, calling for clarity with a request to either amend the legislation or change the code. The State of Rwanda, the Asylum and Immigration Bill, states that for ministers to decide whether to comply with decisions by the European Court of Human Rights to temporarily halt a deportation. The concern of the FDA and many of its members is that if ministers instruct civil servants do not comply with the interim because measures indication they will be putting the UK in breach of international law, the letter says. With the bill due to return to the Commons next week and the government expected to try and get the first flights off the ground within days of that, the FDA warned that they may require legal proceedings to clarify the matter. People who have been refused asylum could reportedly be offered thousands of pounds to move to Rwanda under a new voluntary scheme. Guys, it's a nonsense, this whole Rwanda bill. I don't know how many times have I told you guys this. The Rwanda bill this Rwanda thing will not stop the boats, will not stop immigrants coming to this country. It's supposed to be acting as a deterrent. It will not act as a deterrent. I've said this before. some of the migrants that cross over, they don't even know anything about this. They don't know nothing about this whole Rwanda scheme. Some of them don't even care. Like, they don't care. They're still going to try and come to the UK. So it's not even going to make a difference. And this is the other kicker as well, for those who are new to the channel and don't know this. Yeah, we are taking Rwandan refugees in. Oh yeah, we've taken up to 5 Rwandan refugees, I think, so far. So we are actually taking some refugees from Rwanda to the UK, while we're trying to justify being able to take refugees to Rwanda. Oh, answers on a postcard, please. The proposals, which are separate from the main scheme and are understood to have been agreed with Kigali, are designed to remove people who have no legal right to stay in the UK but cannot be returned to their home country, according to the Times. It will aim at individuals who do not have an outstanding asylum claim and are in position to be relocated swiftly. An intervention by the Strasbourg judge last June stopped the only attempt at a deportation flight taking off from Rwanda. David Pennon, the FDA General Secretary, said in his letter that the government had acknowledged there was a problem and planned to issue draft guidance to make it clear that it was the responsibility of civil servants to implement the decisions of ministers. Sir Matthew Rodcliffe, the Home Office top senior servant, sent a letter dated January the 17th. Given the nature of removal flights, officials should be available to advise ministers at short notice and during evenings and weekends. Home Office officials shall proceed with removals if the relevant minister approves that course of action. But Pennon said while the FDA welcomed the government's recognition of the needs to clarify civil servants' responsibilities, they did not consider the guidance to be adequate. He cited advice from the Attorney General revealed last month that it was beyond doubt that the interim measures from the court to stop a deportation were binding for the UK under international law, and there was no respectable argument to the contrary. The letter goes on to say that difficulty arises because civil servants have personal legal obligations under domestic law not to act contrary to international law. That obligation is not capable of being overwritten by any ministerial instruction or guidance. The Civil Service Code states that officials must comply with the law, which the government has previously confirmed includes international law. And this is the context, guys. This is where this is the problem that civil servants had. Like I said, I've said this before and I'll say it again in this video. Yeah, it's not about whether they agree or disagree with the policy. It's about whether it is in conjunction with law and international laws. Meaning that any ministerial instruction to ignore a Strasbourg ruling would be in breach of their terms of service. Ministers do not employ civil servants and cannot unilaterally change or alter their terms of service, the letter adds. The guidance is erroneous in law and gives serious uncertainty for civil servants and would foreseeably place them in an exceptionally difficult position. The FDA warned that given the implementations of the new Rwanda bill in the coming weeks, its letter was acting as a pre-action notification of its potential claim for judicial review in the event of ministers instructing officials to ignore a Strasbourg injunction. A government spokesperson said matters of international law are rightfully a matter for ministers. In the event of a minister decides in the light of full policy, operational or legal advice not to comply with a Rule 39 indication of an individual case, it is the responsibility of civil servants operating under the Civil Service Code to implement that decision. Yeah, but that decision could be in breach of international law and that could put them in trouble. This is the problem here. They're obviously not, based off that, what the spokesperson said there, they're not taking into account that it could be in breach of international law. This is the context of the argument here. Like I said, I generally don't think these flights are going to take off, even if it gets through the Lords and it gets through somehow. I still don't think these flights are going to take off, guys. I really, really don't. But it's not fair on civil servants that their positions are becoming untenable because of this, from the legality of it. But what do you guys think? What do you guys make of this whole? Do you think the civil servants are right to threaten ministers with legal action? Is this generally based on the legality? Whether you agree or disagree with the Rwanda bill or not, does this not really matter? And their law and the laws that we abide by, as well as international laws, matter? Let me know your thoughts on this all and the Rwanda bill in the comment section down below. If you found this video interesting, please hit the like button, be greatly appreciated. Share it across social media and hit that bell notification icon so you'll be notified when I upload another video. And if you want to go one step further and financially support me in the work I do here, you can do so by becoming a YouTube member for as little as 99p or join me on Rumble or Patreon for exclusive content there as well. Thanks so much for watching, guys, and I hope to catch you all very, very soon.